Hello, this is Ginger Berg, and I am going to be helping you understand my community, the community of Mulvane, because I work at Mulvane High School. Some of our customs and traditions, one of our biggest ones is what's called Old Settlers. It's our citywide kind of like fair, and it's in August. And we shut down school actually for one Friday because of Old Settlers. And there's always a big debate whether we should start school before or after Old Settlers. So that's kind of a unique custom and tradition. Homecoming, winter formal, prom, and especially the prom walk-in, all of those dances are huge traditions and they each have their own customs. Like the winter formal, it's traditional for the girl to ask the boy to that one. Graduation is a huge tradition and some of the things that go with it, and I'm going to be talking more about that in some other slides. Band concerts, musicals, and plays, those all have huge turnout from the community, even if they don't have a student that's in them. We have what are called Esprit runoffs around Christmas time. It's where they go to local businesses and do some Christmas songs and then run off to the next one. And those students usually miss 2 or 3 days of school for that, and that's a big tradition. We also have a food drive before Thanksgiving every year that gets donated to our local food pantries. Around homecoming, we have what we call the traveling pep assembly, and that's where every senior who's involved in any activity in the fall gets to go to the other schools on the day of homecoming and do a pep assembly at those schools. And so that's something that is huge in our community, and the little kids will love it. And of course, just sports in general. Being from a smaller town, we have a big turnout, especially at football and basketball. Those are the main ones. But even at some of the other events, we have a lot of community support for those. Some characteristics of our population: about 98.9% of Mulvane residents that are adults have graduated from high school, and only about 32% of them have bachelor's degrees. The breakdown of ages, there's about 26.5% that are under 18, 56.6% that are between 18 and 65, and 16.9% that are over 65. And as you can see, looking at our student diversity, we have a huge portion of our clients or students that are Caucasian, and then Hispanic and multiracial, and then just a handful of other races. The way that our district communicates with the community, our superintendent does weekly YouTube videos, and those go out on YouTube and on Facebook, and they get emailed out so that everyone can access those. We do have Facebook and Twitter for the district, and every school day during the year and the summer, during the school year and the summer, things get put on there, some positive announcements. Our high school has a journalism YouTube channel called KCAT, and they do a weekly news show. The school also emails and does call-outs periodically to remind parents and students of events that are coming up, or if we ever have a snow day, things like that, which is also put on our Facebook and Twitter. And then we have mailings. Those don't happen as often, but those do happen periodically. Most of the communication is through phone calls and emails. Some of our important community groups in Mulvane, we do have a very active booster club that raises a lot of money to go back into our schools. We have a PTO, which works with our schools as well, but it's not as much of a fundraiser as the booster club. We have what's called the Mulvane Optimist Club, and this is a group of adult males that help out in a variety of ways with our community. And they also donate money, not just to the schools, but to other clubs like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We have the Mulvane Education Foundation, which raises money to award grants to schools and teachers. And then we have the Mulvane Wild Acts Community Theater. So we have an active community theater that a lot of our students and graduates are a part of. Our current economic conditions in Mulvane, we do have a 7.1% unemployment rate, which is high for our area. A big reason for that is there's been a lot of layoffs in the Wichita aviation industry, which greatly affects all of the surrounding communities, including Mulvane. We also have had some local businesses close because of COVID. We do have, looking ahead, a lot of job openings in our area, but most of them are in the service industry, like restaurants. And so for a lot of the adults that were in aviation, that's not a very good fit. So there still is definitely some growing we can do. Some of our leadership in the city of Mulvane, Tisha Hurd is a big leader. She is not only on the Chamber of Commerce, she's also in charge of our Mulvane Recreation Commission. Jeremy Nelson, who's the Chamber of Commerce president, and he's also highly involved in our Mulvane Cooperative Union, which we have a large farming population. And so the Mulvane Cooperative Union is a big organization that has a lot of power in Mulvane. Nancy Farmer Mutala is also a leader in our community. She's on the city council, and she's also a local business owner. When it comes to the political structure in Mulvane, our mayor's name is Shelley Stedman, and she leads our city council meetings and oversees general city business. Our city council meets twice a month, and some of their main objectives are to determine ordinances and resolutions, and they also approve bills and payrolls. And then we also have what's called the Mulvane City Planning Commission, and this meets once a month, and they approve any permits, and they set a plan for city expansion. Some social tensions that our community has been dealing with lately. The first is LGBTQ plus issues. We have a lot of students that are identifying as trans and lesbian, gay, bi, things of the nature in our community. Being rural is not as on board with that. We do have an SGA club, and that seems to be helping some of that tension. We've had a huge issue with our mask policy. We had masks required throughout the entire school year, and there was a lot of pushback from the community on that. And also with the mode of education, we were hybrid for 3/4 of the year, and there was a lot of the community members that were not on board with that. As I mentioned earlier, graduation is a big part of some of the culture and traditions, and we've recently changed some of those, and there was a lot of pushback. So instead of having boys wear green and girls wear white, we switched to have everyone wear green for a variety of reasons, and there was a lot of pushback from the community on that. And we also changed that we had it at the casino instead of the high school, and there was pushback on that as well. There's also just some tension from the urban and suburban families. Some of those cultural differences can cause a lot of friction in our community. Some of our previous community efforts, our town is actually very good with supporting schools and community. Our Mulvane School District bond passed in 2012, which was sponsored by the school district. Our recreation commission got a new facility, and that bond passed in 2014, which was sponsored by the city council. And we got a new library in 2015, which was also sponsored by the city council. When it comes to the power structure, our school board has a lot of say. They are pretty split right now. That became evident this last year with all of the COVID decisions that needed to be made. So there's a pretty big split where there's about 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, and then some in the middle. So that becomes very evident when you come to school board meetings. Our superintendent has a lot of power in our district. The school board really does listen to him for the most part and his recommendations. We have a large downtown staff for our district, and they have quite a bit of say in the school board as well. We have building leadership teams, which involves community members and staff members, and they meet with the principal, and she really does take their consideration and then use that to give her recommendations to the superintendent. And I have noticed that our teachers that have been in the district for a long time have a lot of say and sway, and their opinion seems to really change those that are in power's opinions. Some of our multicultural issues, because our school is predominantly Caucasian, we do not really have a lot of displays that show the diversity. And our dress code does allow for religious differences, but that's kind of the only thing I've noticed in this aspect. Some major improvements are needed. We do not have any of our communication modes available in different languages, and that's something I talked about in some of my other assignments for this course as well. We do not recognize any holidays for other cultures as well. So we have one staff member that had to actually take a personal day to celebrate some of their holidays. And so that's something that could definitely be addressed. And we could improve our displays to include more diversity around the school and the district. In order to determine the public opinion of our district, we do frequent public polls. A lot of them are just to parents, but quite a few are open to the district. We also encourage parents and community members to attend school board meetings, and they can put their name to be heard on the agenda. As I mentioned, our ability leadership teams include community members and not just teachers. We could definitely improve our communication plan. I feel that that is something that the district's working on, but it still needs a lot of improvement. And another thing that I've mentioned in past assignments is just increasing the opportunity for the community to be involved, having more times when our school is open for a variety of different reasons. The references for the data are shown, and thank you so much for letting me teach you about my city of Mulvane. This assignment correlates to the PLO5 because by analyzing my community and its dynamics, I am better prepared to engage the community in order to gain their support in order to meet the needs of our school. This assignment helped me go deeper than just knowing it's important to understand the community. I actually worked to understand my community and critically think about how to engage them. This made the learning process in this module much more effective. Taking the time to fully analyze my community and different aspects of it helped me better understand how to also analyze the community in my future school when I am a school leader. I can then use this information to best involve the community in supporting my school and students. This helps me feel more prepared to step into that new role.